Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Nitrostorm here, welcome back to Revive the Witch. So, as you can see, they added a new patch as well as some exclusive summons. And so, since a lot is going on, including a new event, we're going to take it easy and just take a look at the exclusive summons. So, at the moment, they've only released Sally as the current exclusive banner, and Amorai will be coming soon. So we're going to try and make this a bit quick and take a quick first impressions on their skills. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is Sally. So she's the current banner character in the summon pool. As you can see here, she's featured. And if we take a look at her skills, firstly, you can see that she is a assassin, Brimstone element. She's got very high attack, lower physical defense than magical defense, and pretty, I guess you could say, squishy overall. Now, if we take a look at her skills, her first skill is called Clear Sight, and it costs 2 order to use. And at level 5, what it does is that it increases her own critical chance by 10% for 15 seconds and deals physical damage equal to 300% of attack to the back row enemy. So, as you can see here, she does good damage. It's alright. The crit chance doesn't stack, so it's maximum 10% at level 5. And keep in mind, it costs 2 order to use. So when it comes to increasing the charge skill gauge of someone like Catherine, it's going to take a little bit longer because it costs 2 to use compared to most other assassins where it only costs 1. Now, her second skill is called Injection Time, and it costs 4 chaos to use. 4 chaos is like the staple cost for chaos skills when it comes to assassins, so this is pretty normal in terms of cost. Now at level 5, what it does is that it ignores 20% of the target's physical defense, and it hits the back row enemy 4 times, each dealing physical damage equal to 180% of attack. So what lacks on her first skill I would say makes up for her second skill. So as you can see, this one seems to do pretty big damage, which is pretty nice. However, if you do compare her to someone like Celanya, you could argue does kind of similar deal in terms of how they deal damage, but single target wise, if I'm not mistaken, Sally might be doing a little bit more damage. And last but not least, her passive at level 2, when using any of her skills, her self-critical damage will increase by 3% and can stack up to 10 times with no time limit. So this is a permanent buff for the fight, and so if you use skills 10 times, then she'll have a permanent 30% critical damage buff until the end of battle, which is pretty decent. Okay, moving on to Amorai. So she is a Brimstone healer, so first thing you'll think about is her against just our previous UR healer, and so we're going to be talking about that in a bit, but for now let's take a look at her skills. So her first skill costs 2 order to use, and it heals all allies for 300% of Amorai's attack and applies the psyched buff to the team for 15 seconds, and that buff would be attacks ignore the enemy's physical defense equal to 20% of her own attack. So this is very nice, it's very strong, like 2 cost order skill, and it does a lot of support for the team, especially for physical, which Brimstone is mainly based on, which is very nice. Her second skill is a charge skill, and at level 5 is called Medical Precaution, and what it does is that it grants all allies a shield equal to 30% of Amorai's attack for 15 seconds, as well as increasing their attack, defense, and critical damage by 30%, and 30% respectively for 10 seconds. So as you can see, she pretty much buffs every single stat except for critical rate, so just keep that in mind. But outside of that, she's very insane in my opinion. Definitely, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she does maybe replace Tounel in terms of Brimstone comps, because her last skill, her passive, recovers 2 chaos energy when using the skill Diagnosis. which is the first skill. So if she uses Diagnosis, instead of gaining 2 Chaos, because of the passive at level 2, she will instead give the whole team a total of 4 Chaos, which is very nice if you consider the fact that, for example, Sally, her second skill costs 4 Chaos to use. So if you were to play on free mode auto, you could set S1 on Amorai and S2 on Sally, which is pretty nice. You know, it's not the most effective strategy, of course, but it's something to note. Alright, so now that we've got a better idea of these characters, what are my first impressions? Well, before we talk about Sally's skills overall, let's take a quick comparison to Celanya. So I've made mine level 4 skills and level 2 passive, so it's as close as we can get to maximum. And if you take a look at the first skill, as you can see, attacks all enemies 3 times, each dealing physical damage equal to 45% of attack. So multiplier wise, it's lower, but in terms of, you know, AoE, of course, Celanya will do better, but it's obvious that in terms of single target damage, I believe Sally does more, which makes sense because Sally is single target. Now take a look at the second skill. As you can see, attacks all enemies 5 times, each dealing physical damage equal to 9% of attack. So just by that alone, that is 450%, which is a little bit lower than Sally. And then adds an extra buff here: within 10 seconds, when allies deal physical damage, they inflict extra damage equal to 45% of Celanya's attack. So technically speaking, if you were to cast a second Azure Wind on Celanya at level 4 skill, it actually does more than Sally's second skill, I think, you know, if my math doesn't fail me. And her last skill, she ignores physical defense based on her attack as well, up to 20%, but this is based on any of her skills. So regardless of what skill Celanya uses, it ignores 20% of their physical defense based on Celanya's attack. So as you can see there, if you compare it to another limited time unit, it may seem that Sally might not be as worth to get as Celanya. But perhaps when it comes to certain scenarios, maybe Sally does become better. And also, just to note, it says it ignores 20% of the target's physical defense, so it's not actually reliant on her own attack stats. So the pro is that if the enemy has higher physical defense than 20% of her own physical attack, you know, stuff like that, then I guess this would work out. But in most cases, Celanya's ignore defense is actually more effective, and her passive, you know, it's a little bit of crit damage, and her first skill gives some crit rate. So in terms of self-sufficiency, you could say that Sally is more efficient in that sense, whilst for Celanya, if you want to give her more critical rate and critical damage, you'd want to rely on someone else, another character, to give those buffs. And when it comes to Amorai, in my opinion, I think she's very, very strong. I'm definitely going to pull for her when she comes. So, you know, stay tuned for that, like a proper review. And for Sally, I did do a discount pull on my non-free-to-play account, and I did manage to get Sally. So I will also make a proper review on Sally once I've raised her to Ascend level 4. So in any case, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. In my opinion, I think if you were to choose between Sally or Amorai, I would highly suggest summoning for Amorai if you're free to play, because I believe she'll do pretty good for your Brimstone teams. But you don't need to, in the sense that you could still use Tounel for your Brimstone teams, because as you can see, you know, Tounel is very, very strong in pretty much all content. So if you're running low on funds and you're not sure if you're able to pull for Amorai or Sally, then it's fine. You can skip these two if you want. Alright, so apologies if the video is a bit too long. Let's finish it off with a bang. So I'll use my discount multi on Sally and we'll see what we get. Okay, so we also got a UR here. So technically I'm hoping to not get Sally, but you know, it might just be the case where I do get her, so we'll see. Alright, Faye, Hilda, Cuspidata, Mortimer, Cetes, Primulot. Okay, look, not gonna lie, guys, I've never been more happy getting a Jeep right now. So, look, I'll take that. I mean, technically, my pity wasn't even that high. Like, it wasn't even that low. But yeah, I can't be mad, guys. Not too shabby. My UR guaranteed dole did reset, but nevertheless, my guaranteed rate up isn't reset. So, there's a good upside to that. Well, in any case, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys got any more questions regarding Sally, I'll be making a proper review once I've raised her on my other account. And for Amorai, if you've got any more questions, I'll try and answer them in the comment section. And I'll make a review on Amorai once she's out. In any case, it's been your boy Nitrostorm. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video. Peace.